Thank you for joining us today. Much better turnout than I anticipated. Let's give each other a round of applause. Thank you. I'm here to talk about presenting to you Good Energy's John O'Rourke. It's the gentleman standing behind me. He's the consulting firm that the city has hired that's the expert on aggregation. And I hope that following this meeting today, you'll have a better understanding why it's certainly a good thing. It's going in the right direction with the cost of energy, and that's what our goal was. So we're hoping at the end of the day, this helps the people out in the city of Fitchburg. So without further ado, I'll introduce John O'Rourke, Good Energy. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I just want to start with a little history. I want to thank the mayor and his staff. We started working with the mayor 4 years ago. That's how long it's taken to get this program up and going. Everything we do has to be approved by the Department of Public Utilities. So it's not like we're doing anything on our own here, okay? Every step we take has to be approved. The mayor and his staff have been outstanding, and again, he's been very concerned about bringing this to the city for the residents and the businesses to try to control electricity prices here in the city. All right, that's been the objective. I'm going to go through a short slide presentation, and then I will open it up to questions. All right, this is our Massachusetts customer-facing team. All right, it's Philip Carr. He's the managing director. Stefano Loretto's business development. Myself for marketing, and Patrick for innovation. And as I said, we started this 4 years ago. At that time, I had brown hair. Okay, it's been a real trial. All right, behind the four of us, we have over 40 professional analytical, research, administrative, customer service personnel that are basically here to support us and support the city. We're going to be putting this program out. This is the launch period. I know you have a lot of questions, so we'll get right into, we're going to tell you a little bit about Good Energy. Here in Massachusetts, we have 65 clients. We also run the largest aggregation in the state, which is 25 municipalities, that very recently became the largest aggregation of its kind in the country. So we're very fortunate for that. Just to give you a rundown, we have 45 active programs. We have current launches. We have 7 municipalities in current launches, one of which is the city. We have plans going through the department, 3 of those, they're pending approval. We have plans in development, another 4. And we have new committed clients, another 6. And you can imagine we are getting calls every day from clients or potential clients that we've been speaking to over the last 4 or 5 years who have been on the fence or weren't too interested in aggregation, who all of a sudden are now interested because their residents and businesses are calling up and saying, what is going on with electricity prices? So you can see that this is something that is very much in vogue, and hope we can do what we're supposed to be doing for you. This is a very simple situation. All we're really doing is forming a buying group, all right? Back in 1999, right after deregulation, the state passed the first law of its kind in the country. It's known as the Municipal Aggregation Law. And what it did, it allowed municipalities basically to say, hey, let's put the electric load of our residents and businesses together, and let's go out to bid competitively for that load. Again, the first law in the country was done here in Massachusetts. Every successful law in the country has been modeled on the Massachusetts law. Good Energy is a national company. We're involved in every state that has municipal aggregation, so we're quite experienced at it. What happens here is that the utility, Unitil, continues to service the account. They continue to do everything they do right now. The only thing that will change on your bill is the name of the supplier and the rate charged. The supplier for this aggregation is Constellation. They are one of the largest and most reliable energy companies in the country, and they were the one that won the competitive bid here in the city. The primary goals here, okay, is to give you more competitive choice for electricity. Again, back in the late 1990s, deregulation allowed individuals to go out to get their own supply. They didn't have to go through the basic service of the utilities. And many of you have probably done that. You may have gone out and gotten your own third-party supplier. Many people are still on the basic service, and that's what we're here to do, to talk to you people who are still on basic service to get you into the aggregation. Again, there's longer-term stable rates. Many of our programs are in the 30 to 36-month length in terms of length of the contract. Here in Fitchburg, it's 21 months. The reason for that is because that was the best term in this market as decided by the city. We look to potentially lower rates. We've been very successful at that, but we cannot guarantee it. And every time we mention the word savings or benefit or anything else that has to do with lowering rates, we have to put a disclaimer in that future savings are not guaranteed. There's a chance to put more renewable energy in the product mix. Now, what the city has chosen is that the standard product will not have any more renewable energy in it than is required by the state. And there are two options for those people who are more interested in renewable energy. There's the 5% and there's the 100%, all right? But the automatic or standard product is the one that you're automatically put into at the launch of the program. Also, very important, there's increased consumer protection here, all right? What normally happens when we do an aggregation and a launch, those retailers of electricity that bother you plenty, okay, and some of whom are unscrupulous, all right, try to get you to go with them, all right? A lot of that will stop because the city is in the aggregation. This is just an example of our mass CEA history for our rates as compared to, that's a national grid situation there. The orange line is the rate for the aggregation that started in January of 2016. So we're now in year 7. And you can see how those rates compare to the blue line, which are the rates of National Grid. We had two situations in the spring, or in the summer of 2020 and the summer of 2021, where National Grid rates came down below the aggregation rate. And if you remember, those were the times when the situation here, because of the COVID lockdowns, were basically, you know, the demand for electricity on the commercial side was much lower. So consequently, natural gas rates went down. Natural gas rates are a precursor for electricity here in Massachusetts, and that's why National Grid was able to get those rates below our aggregation rates.
Excuse me, but we're Unitil here.
Yes, I understand your Unitil. That's a specific aggregation, and I compared it to that. I understand you're in Unitil. Yeah. I'll just go over the letter that you got. Now, this letter went out to everyone who is on the basic service of National Grid. a basic service of Unitil. If you didn't get a copy of this letter, you might have a third-party supplier. You may not know you have a third-party supplier. You have to check your electricity bill, and essentially on the line of supplier, it'll say who that supplier is. All right, and we'll go into that a little bit later. The first option here, you're automatically enrolled in the standard, which again has no more renewable electricity in it than is required by the state. So that's the first option. The second option is if you want either the 5% up or the 100%, you would call the supplier. And the third one is you can opt out of the program if you want by sending in the card that you got with this letter, or you can call the supplier for that. So you have those three options. The third option is that you can send in the opt-out card if you wish, if you want to opt out of the program, or you can call the supplier. And the supplier's number, Constellation, is right here on the front page. Okay, everybody understand that? Okay.
What does that mean by opting out?
Well, again, if you're on the basic service of Unitil, okay, you will automatically be put in this program. If you don't want to be in the program and you want to opt out, okay, then you can do either send in the card or call Constellation, either one, okay?
John, it means that Unitil continues to purchase the power.
Yes. Yeah, and essentially, Unitil does everything here, as they do now, all right? There'll be no difference. You won't notice a difference at all. The only thing on your bill is the name of the supplier, the new name of the supplier, Constellation, and the new rate. All right, and this on the first part of the first page, this just explains the options. These things look a little complicated, okay? And again, the letter we put out has to be approved by the Department of Public Utilities. They want a lot of information in these letters, and sometimes it can get a little confusing, all right? But essentially, what it's saying is that you would be put in the initial standard, that's the Fitchburg standard, at 17,268. If you want to go into either the Fitchburg 5 or the Fitchburg Plus, you would call the supplier. All right, so essentially, if you want to be in the program, you don't have to do anything. If you're on the basic service, you've got one of these letters, you don't have to do anything to come into the program.
Explain why you have to call the provider in order to get into the other program. Do you have any information on those two programs?
Well, they're an affirmative choice, okay, and essentially, those two choices, Fitchburg 5 and Fitchburg Plus, the Fitchburg 5 has 5% more renewable energy than is required by the state. The 100% has total renewable energy, if you're concerned about total renewable energy.
But at that point, each one is going to be more expensive, correct? Because your kilowatts per hour are going to be more.
Yes, it is more expensive. You know, there's a misconception that renewable energy is cheaper. That's not the case. Okay. Sir?
Question for you. You want to stay where you are with Unitil right now? We got to call you, or do we got to call Unitil and tell them we want to stay where we're at?
If you want to stay with Unitil, okay, you can either, did you get a letter? Did you get a letter?
I believe we did.
Okay. If you got a letter, then there's a card that came with the letter. It's an opt-out card. You sign it, you put it in the envelope they gave you, that's a post-paid envelope, send that in, okay? Or call Constellation, either way.
Next question. Do you give a discount to people that are disabled or veterans?
Let me get through some of these questions and it might answer that, okay? During the time of this program, all right, you can switch among those options if you wish. You can leave the program at any time without penalty or termination fees. If you have a budget plan or an eligible low discount plan, that continues through Unitil. Anybody who has solar panels or who has a solar net metering agreement, that is unaffected by participation in the aggregation. Again, there is no penalty to go back to Unitil at any time. And again, this gentleman's question about veterans discounts, whatever Unitil offers is what is still offered. If they're offering a veterans discount, it'll still be offered. Does that answer your question?
Answers that question, yes.
Okay. Do you have another question?
What about a person that's on disability?
Does Unitil give discounts for people on disabilities? If they do, that will continue. Miss?
All right, did I misunderstand you? I thought you said we had to sign a contract.
There's no contract to sign.
No contract.
No contract.
If we opt in it, we're fine. We can get out at any time.
That's correct.
All right, and you do not guarantee the price is going to be lower.
That's correct.
Did I get that correct from you?
Yes.
So what would be the benefit for me to transfer to you if you're not going to guarantee me the price is going to be lower than Unitel?
Well, the price against Unitil right now is lower. Okay? Unitil will adjust their rate again in August of this year. Okay? At that point in time, if you wish to get out of the program and go back to Unitil, if perhaps Unitil is lower, you can do that.
So what's going to stop us from going to you and your low, getting out of you, going back to Unitel, getting out of Unitel, going back to you?
Well, okay, there's nothing that stops you from doing that, okay? However, all right, with these programs, you know, you're dealing with national energy companies who have basically committed to a certain amount of electricity to provide for the city, all right? If the supplier sees you coming in and out of the program, they don't have to let you in at the contract rate. They can let you in at a market rate, whatever that happens to be at the time. Okay. All right. Miss?
Can we back up a little bit to the beginning?
Sure.
I'd like to know who signed me up for something that I had no knowledge of. And I do realize I can opt out by signing this card and sending it.
Mm-hmm.
Who authorized signing up all these people? Because if these people threw this in the rubbish barrel, you're automatically all signed up. That's number one. Number two, I didn't ask for this. I want to know who took the liberty of signing my household up for this plan.
In Massachusetts, all right, there are 351 municipalities, 47 of which have what is known as municipal light plants, okay? They have their own electricity. Of the 304 that are left, 175 of them have these plans. And the reason for these plans is to benefit the residents. Now, the municipal aggregation law that was passed in 1999 allows the municipality to do that. Anyone who's interested in reading that law, I can give you the site. It's a page and a half long, and what it does, it gives the town authority or the city authority to go ahead and do that for the benefit of the residents. The residents don't have to do it if they don't want to. It's voluntary. When you come into a new community, okay, you have no choice of what utility you can get into. Here in the city, if you're a new resident here, you come in, you're automatically with Unitil. Okay, you have to be on Unitil for at least one billing period, and then you can choose an alternative supplier. What the city has done here is make it easier for all of you to make that choice by providing this option. If you don't want this option, you don't have to take it. Or you could pick a third-party supplier on your own.
What is the percentage of the household people that need to want to do this for it to happen? And my reason for that is, if the majority of people threw it away, they're automatically registered. Say you need 40% of the population, and you got it, that becomes your program.
A little about Good Energy again, okay? We are a national company. We do this in every state that has a municipal aggregation law. We're very successful at it. Here in Massachusetts, when we do an aggregation, and the national suppliers know us very well, and that's why we can get rates that are sometimes very much lower than the utility. They know that when we do an aggregation, we're going to get 80 to 85% of the eligible customers in that aggregation. So they know what they're bidding on, they know what load they're bidding on, and that's why they can sharpen their pencils and do a competitive bid that makes sense. Does that answer your question?
Yes, 80%, if that's what you get, that's great. If the rates are lower, that's even better. But for people who didn't understand it, threw it away, are automatically in it, and within 21 months, the rates increase. That's right, you can still get out, you can opt out,
That's right.
but there's no guarantees.
We cannot guarantee the future. I don't know anyone who
No,
can.
right, obviously.
Okay, yeah. Miss?
My question is, if a household chooses to opt out, is there like an enrollment period, like, Medicare has an open enrollment, or is a person able to re-enroll at any time during the year?
You can go into the program at any time. You can go out of the program at any time without penalty or termination fees. Okay. Sir?
Let me understand what you just said about the percentage rate. So are you saying that if less than 80% of Fitchburg residents enroll in this program, that it may not exist? I guess I'm trying to understand what
No.
that 80% is.
No. I'm just telling you what our record is of success in these programs.
So
It doesn't, there's no minimal percentage. Okay?
That's what I'm saying. Going back to her original question, if right now we're all going to be in it if we don't send a card back. If we'll say 40% of those customers send cards back to stay with Unitil, that means 60% of the customers in the city of Fitchburg now are with Good Energy, and those rates are going to stay just the way they are.
The rates for the program stay fixed for 21 months, okay? That's until the end of December 2024. What we will probably do in the spring of 2024 is start looking to renegotiate or rebid that contract, okay?
So there is not a percentage required. There isn't a percentage of Fitchburg residents to enroll in this program to secure the current rates that the city has negotiated.
That's correct. And what I was bringing up with the 80 to 85%, okay, was the fact we have experience doing this, okay? The suppliers know us, they know how we handle these programs, and they know we're going to get 80% of the eligible residents in the program. And what happens with most of our programs, for those who are skeptical and don't get into it at the beginning, we, in almost all of our programs, get an increase over time. Because what happens is people start to talk to their neighbors and say, oh, you're not in the program? Oh, yeah, we're on the program. We're doing well. And then all of a sudden, the people who are a little skeptical say, wait, maybe I should get into this program. Okay? So that's, we experience an increase in the numbers over time.
I was holding my questions to the end, hoping that you'd cover most of those, but this one here perked my interest. I have some further questions relative to that.
Sure.
Is that, and there are two. One, does the city itself benefit financially based on the number of people that enter into this program?
The city has no benefit financially from this program. The benefit that the city wanted to give to the residents is more choice. Okay? There is no financial benefit to the city whatsoever.
And lastly, why the decision to have us opt out versus opt in?
The law is an opt-out program, all right? The law is a page and a half long. It says it's opt-out. Now, very interesting, I said to you that every successful law in the country is based on the Massachusetts law, okay? Two of your neighboring states, Rhode Island and New Hampshire, had aggregation laws in place for 10 to 15 years before about 3 years ago, all right, when they changed from, quote, opt-in programs to opt-out programs. Because they were not getting any suppliers to bid on their programs. And the reason for, there's a very good business case for that I'll explain to you. But both Rhode Island and New Hampshire changed their law to make it opt-out, and now they're having some success. We're in both of those states, and we're having success in both of those states. Now, the reason for opt-out rather than opt-in, we have this launch period of 30 days, okay? And in that period of time, all right, you don't have to do anything to be in the program, all right? So when a supplier looks to bid on these programs, especially our programs, and they know we're going to get 80% of those people in town in the program, they know what they're bidding on, okay? They know they're bidding on 80% of the load for that municipality, like here in the city, okay? If it was an opt-in program, they wouldn't know whether they were getting 80% or 60% or 20% within what time period, or 30 days or 60 days or 2 years, okay? So you have a definite period in which to say, yes, I want to be in this program. And the suppliers understand that, so they bid on that because they know what they're bidding on. If you had an opt-in program, these national suppliers, they're not going to bid on those programs because they don't know what they're bidding on, because there are no specifics.
I thoroughly understand that.
That's the business case.
With that,
Yeah.
I think some of that 80% comes from what some of the people in the room are saying is ignorance. Got the letter, really didn't know what it meant, threw it away.
Well,
So, and I don't know what that number is, and I'm sure you don't know what it is, but a percentage of that 80% is people that opted in by virtue of not knowing they could opt out. They didn't read the paper.
Well, if you note the letter, the front of the letter says important information from the city.
Yeah, I
Okay.
I get a lot of those all the time in the mail through telemarketers that say, do not throw this away, open it immediately.
But this had the city seal on it.
No, I know, but human nature, not everybody opens this. I'm encouraged by this, I'm not discouraged.
Let me clarify something.
Mr. Mayor, you want to come up?
This is, I think as John's characterized, this hasn't happened in a vacuum. The reason why this took 4 years is because in the infinite wisdom of the legislature and the Department of Public Utilities, you just can't do this. That was the 4-year holdup, because the Department of Public Utilities, along with, I might add, the Attorney General's office, has to review these proposals to make sure they're okay and they're not fleecing any of you folks that are out there, or me, or Joan, or whomever. So this is not done in a vacuum. There's nothing that everything is out of the light of day on this. I just hope you understand that. And it's to help you to make some other choices. That's it. And if you threw the envelope away, call my office. We'll give you Constellation's phone number and you can call them. Nothing complicated here, folks. Call them and say, I want out. And if you're having a problem with that, let me know. We'll make sure and fix it.
I understand that. As again, I'm encouraged by what is happening because we're trying to go in the right direction.
Yeah, exactly.
I think the information sources, and I don't want to speak for everybody in this room, but I think the information resources probably should have been before the letter came out, because the negativism started the minute the letter came in. People are automatically thinking, I'm getting jammed with something again. The second part of that is that the overall savings, at least today, the overall savings by this program isn't going to be as large as what some people perceive it to be.
I can't control what people perceive.
What I'm saying is, I think people are understanding, and again, I don't want to speak for the people in the room, but I looked at my particular situation, and my savings on last month's bill was $6. Now, $6 is significant. It'll buy you a cup of coffee and 2 donuts, okay?
Where you going to get that coffee and donuts? Where's that? It's probably more than that, isn't it? No.
Savings for my particular, the young lady sitting behind me who has a rather large bill that we just looked at, her savings is even going to be significantly less, because the majority of her bill is gas. So it may be a little bit misconceiving to a lot of people or a lot of residents who utilize Unitil today that, wow, I'm going to save a lot of money. They're not. They're not going to save a lot of money by entering into the program.
My message has been, and it's informal. It's people in the community that have approached me and say, "It's a good thing." I said, "Yeah, you're not going to get rich out of it, but it's going in the right direction." And again, it's to open up options for you. Right now, you don't have an option. Unitil goes out and purchases the electricity. It's got nothing to do with gas, folks. All right? It's nothing to do with gas. They go out and purchase the electricity. You have no control over that. You do have some control with Good Energy going out every, how many months, John? How many months?
Well, it'll be at the end of this contract.
At the end of, which is what, 24?
21 months.
21 months. They'll go out to bid again. And again, a lot of what we're talking about today is market-driven. So it's out of all of our control. It's how the market, you're going to have, if you believe President Biden, it's Ukraine. That's having an impact. And it's probably true. So we don't know what's going to happen in 10 months. Is Ukraine still going to be going on? Probably. But again, it has an effect on what we're going to be paying for energy, particularly electricity. So, but again, if you really feel that it's not something you want to participate in, and you've thrown away the card, there's a phone number. We'll get you the phone number. Matter of fact, it's online, isn't it?
Well, it's right over there.
It's right there. Okay, there it is. So you call that phone number. And again, if there's any problems with any of this, folks, just call my office. All right? We'll get the answers for you, and we'll correct any problems you might be having. Thank you.
What other towns or cities have you gone into to?
Massachusetts? In Massachusetts?
Yes.
I don't know. John? And he wants, Dave's got a question. Okay.
In Massachusetts, there are 175 cities and towns that have these programs, out of 304 that are eligible. So that's 55, 60%.
Can you name a couple of those towns?
Yes, I can.
Okay.
Okay. How about Boston and Worcester to start?
Okay.
No, there are only 4 Unitil customers here in Massachusetts. Go ahead, Dave.
I guess my question is, going back to the Department of Public Utility, is, and I'm glad there are companies like you around, but why don't they make Unitil go for that bid you're going to get that's cheaper than what Unitil's going to be approved to buy in August. If this is available, why isn't Unitil buying it?
That's a question for the Department of Public Utilities.
Yes.
Or Unitil.
Thanks.
I have one question in regards to, you said the contract would be a 21-month contract based on your,
Goes from the meter read in March to the meter read in December 2024.
okay. But also on this paperwork that you passed out, and I realize you don't have control, but you haven't mentioned this portion of it, which says that, that the rates applied to the service beginning at the end of the, I'm sorry, that's not the one. That a change in the law could result in direct material increase in cost during the term of the electric supplies contract. So does that?
That's correct.
Within that 21 month, it could increase, because you said it will stay the same.
There are provisions in every energy contract, including those for the utilities, okay, that if the Department of Public Utilities comes up with a change in the law, okay, all suppliers are allowed to raise their rate in accordance with how that law affects the rate. That is a standard in any contract that's an energy contract,
So there
okay?
is no guarantee it will stay the same in 21 months.
The chances of it not staying the same, okay, are slim, all right? But if there is a change, there's what's known as a change in law provision that's in any contract and would affect any rate, whether you're with Unitil or anyone else. Okay? All right. Sir?
You are a middleman. You are the middleman. You don't create electricity. You use Unitel poles, wires to bring electricity to our homes.
Right.
That's correct? If I have a problem with my power, a tree fell on my wire, for example.
Right.
I can't call Unitel.
Yes.
Because I'm not Unitel customer.
No. Unitil continues to service the account.
Just let me finish, please. I can't call Unitel because I'm not Unitel customer. I'm gonna have to call you. It might take 5 days and 10 days.
No. Listen to me. No, listen to me.
Because I know. Before Unitel got the call, maybe 5 days, 6 days, it depends when you order, because you are the middleman. Because you don't own the poles, you don't own the electric wires that come to the houses.
All right, let me repeat this, okay? Unitil continues to service the accounts in exactly the same way that they do now. The only difference is on the bill, the name of the supplier is different and the rate is different. Unitil still services the account.
But I can't call them when I have a problem, I can't. Sure you can. I am not their customer, I have to call you.
No, you would call Unitil. Unitil continues to service the account.
Just let them know Unitil owns the poles and stuff. That's
Sure they
what-
do,
Yeah, but they say the
Yeah,
word own.
everything's the same as it is now. Whether you get your electricity from the basic service of Unitil or a third-party supplier. That's the way it is. Sir?
I have two questions. One is approximately the same as this gentleman just had.
Okay.
Will it be the same as back when Lisa Long was mayor and took over the street lights, and you had to wait 4 months to get a street light fixed? It's exactly the same question that the gentleman here had.
That's what he means.
There is no change in service to the customers from Unitil, okay, for your account. For your account, okay? All right?
Second question. Who is going to determine the rates from year to year?
It's a competitive rate.
Or is it going to be this outfit in Houston, Texas?
there is a competitive bid that is taken for the supply, okay? And that's the way it works. It's a competitive bid with national suppliers.
I guess that answers the question. Not good, but I guess it answers it.
Well, what more did you want from that?
Go ahead. Go ahead.
Yeah, I signed up with Nexamp to get electricity from solar arrays throughout Fitchburg somehow. In a way I don't fully understand, and I don't get charged per kilowatt hour from them. I get some sort of discount on my bill.
Right.
But I got a letter and a card to opt out. Am I included in the bulk bid that you did, even though my provider is in some sense Nexamp?
You don't get all your energy from Nexamp. You get some of your energy from Nexamp, and you get the rest of it from the basic service of Unitil. Okay? That's why you got the letter. Okay.
Now, if your rate is less expensive than Unitil's, but you're appealing to the same group of customers, is your rate less because you're not required to have as much renewable electricity as Unitil is? Why wouldn't the rates be, if you're not aggregating all municipalities, but just Fitchburg, then why is the rate different than what Unitil has to, because they buy theirs on the open market too?
Okay, what happens with the utilities, all the utilities, they have to go out to bid at very specific times of the year, whether the market is good or not. We can go out to bid when the market is favorable. That's how we have an advantage in these bids. Okay? It's very simple.
But the renewable mix isn't different?
The renewable mix right now in Massachusetts for no matter where you get your electricity is 22% of what's known as Massachusetts Class 1 renewable energy certificates. Okay, the state requires that no matter where you get your electricity from, it's going to have electricity that fulfills that requirement. Okay? Ma'am?
Yes, if you don't opt out, which one will you get? Will you get Fitchburg 5 or Fitchburg Plus?
No, you get Fitchburg Standard. That's the least expensive one. If you want to go up to Fitchburg 5 or Fitchburg Plus because you want more renewable energy in the mix, you would affirmatively select one of those options by calling Constellation.
If I want to try you guys, I have to call her to tell her which one of these I want?
No, you're automatically put into the Fitchburg Standard option if you don't opt out. If you wanted to go into the Fitchburg 5 or the Fitchburg Plus, then you would make a phone call. But it's automatic, you'd go into Standard. Okay? Miss?
What do you think average savings would be a month?
Well, on the site, there's a calculator. You can go into that calculator and put your own information in from your bills, and you would be able to calculate your own savings.
Or what do you think the average monthly?
Well, that depends on how much you use.
Quick question. You said that Unitil is connected to 4 municipalities. Can you say what the other 3 are?
The other municipalities are, I think it's Ashby, Townsend, and Lunenburg. Okay. That's the 4. That's the 4.
Such a small group of communities in which they must have less ability to negotiate prices.
All right, well,
These 4 communities you've mentioned have the highest rates in the state.
No.
Such a small company, Unitil.
Yeah.
They've been ripping off this town, the towns around for a long time.
Right on.
All right.
Yeah.
Now,
And I know when it was Fitchburg Gas,
yeah.
we were getting paid.
All right, now it's very interesting that Ashby and Lunenburg have aggregations. We're talking to Townsend, okay? we're going ahead with Townsend to aggregate them. So pretty soon, all of the Unitil towns will be aggregated.
So they'll lose their ability to charge these rates that they've been charging forever. That's just been, it's never gone down, it's always gone up.
Right now, in Massachusetts, you have the highest electricity rates in the continental United States. That not only has to do with some of our national energy policy, has to do with some of the state policies, has to do with natural gas generation here in the New England grid. There are half a dozen variables that cause these rates to be very high. Miss?
I just want to know, we're going to get a bill from Constellation, right?
No, you're going to continue to get a bill from Unitil. The only thing that changes on that bill, the name of the supplier, Constellation, and the rate. Everything else stays the same.
Okay, so our gas and everything will still.
Well, we're not talking gas. We're only talking electricity.
Still come in through the one bill.
However you're billed now, you will continue to be billed that way. Okay?
What about all these extras that they add on? Distribution charge.
Okay. All right. We have nothing to do with that side of the bill. We're only on the supply side of the bill.
That's
for
another meeting.
That's another meeting.
Talk to Unitil about that.
Just to clarify in my mind one thing, we can opt in or opt out at any time, or are we limited on our options?
No, you can stay in the program or leave the program at any time. Okay, Miss?
I have a question, and it's not, thank you for coming. It's wonderful to see everybody here, because everybody is very nervous about this. My question is, when you started your program, sir, you said that you've been working for 4 years on this?
We've been working on this particular plan for 4 years. Yes.
Why is it that we only found out when we got the letters in the mail? That we should have been having these meetings all along with the people who pay the bills, which is us. So it doesn't seem right that there's transparency. So all of a sudden, we get letters. I know several people who told them out. And I know they don't read the papers, they don't, so you're not going to get the.
Well, there were press releases that went out. There were press releases that went out. There's the city website that had information on it. And this is the period of time when you really have to intensify the public outreach and education, because if you start too early, people forget. All right, this is the part of the program that's important to give out information in detail.
I totally agree with you, sir. But I think we need more meetings to educate us more about what's really happening and how it will affect us. And I think this is a start, but I don't think it's the finish. I think that, thank God that we did this today, and whoever started this, I applaud. But people are panicking. I got a bill this month for $850. I live in a big house, but I only use 4 rooms. And I only use, out of the 4 rooms, I only use 3. My friend, the ex-mayor, she's here, she got a bill for $900. So the gas and light company is absolutely out of whack. They go to DPH. I believe in the last meeting, they just got an increase. So we're caught in the middle. But one meeting does not solve the problem.
Well,
we need more meetings, we need more education, and we need more transparency of what's going on.
Well, this is precisely why the mayor and his staff has put this program in place, to help people with the potential savings on their bills. Sir?
Yes, this is not a question, but this is my personal opinion. I've had Unitil all my life. And most of my life, I've considered Unitil a monopoly. A lot of my friends, a lot of my neighbors consider it the same thing. They have absolutely no control over what's going on in our in our electricity or our gas. I'm not talking about gas, I'm talking about the control that Unitil has. And this is, to me, at least an option to get out of Unitil and at least try something new. This is not a you have to or you don't have to. This is just something that we all have a choice on. But I don't know about you, the point that you made about Unitil being the highest in the country or this area, that's a fact. That goes back 20 years. I remember that same conversation. And I don't know if anybody, I don't know if any of you guys have been here for a long time, but you have to know the same thing. Absolutely.
When Fitchburg Gas left and Unitil took over, that's when it hit the fan.
To put it bluntly, yes,
Yeah.
yes. Dave?
Again, I really appreciate what you're doing, but what confuses me is that Massachusetts is the highest rates in the country. Why is everything being modeled after what Massachusetts does?
Who's modeling
You
things?
said that earlier.
Oh, okay, well, I'm talking about the aggregation law. That's all I'm talking about is the aggregation law. And essentially, as I said, every successful law in the country has been modeled on that page-and-a-half law in Massachusetts. Not everything Massachusetts is doing, but on that law. Okay?
Isn't Unitil right now much cheaper than National Grid?
National Grid is $33,891 a kilowatt hour. Eversource is $25,649. Unitil, okay, is 21 and change. Okay. Don't expect any of those rates to go down very shortly. They're going to continue to remain high for a whole lot of reasons. Okay, sir.
Yes, I own my own solar panels, and I have a net metering arrangement with Unitil, and I also get solar renewable energy credits from the state of Massachusetts. Will the SRECs be affected by this because Constellation's not involved in the state of Massachusetts?
Everything that's in place now with your net metering agreement will continue to be in place if you want to participate in the aggregation.
And secondly, was Unitil asked to be here today to talk about why we should opt out, maybe?
No.
So we're getting one side of the equation, right?
Unitil was not happy about this, obviously. Right, so
they gonna retaliate?
then we're not going to invite them, and they probably wouldn't come. So, it's fine. That's fine.
Let me just say something to you. We're getting deluged with calls, some of whom are from people who have called National Grid in our aggregations with those towns or Eversource. They are actually the Eversource and National Grid customer service people are actually telling them to call us because we have aggregations with lower rates.
Now, what the mayor just said, is Unitil going to be, I'll put it bluntly, is Unitil going to be pissed off enough?
No. Unitil or none of the utilities make any money on the supply. The supply is a pass-through. They only make money on the distribution of the electricity, on maintaining the infrastructure, okay, on billing, administrative costs. They don't make any money on the supply. They don't care where the supply comes from.
Right. Right straight to the point. We don't do anything. We want to stay where we are. Have we got to make any phone calls or not?
Well, wait a second. You want to stay right where you are. What does that mean?
Well, right now we're going through Unitil.
Okay, then send in the opt-out card. Do you have the opt-out card?
No.
Okay, make a phone call.
Call Constellation.
Okay, I'll get the number.
Tell them you want, right. It's on the website, or we have it in the office. We need to call my office.
Yeah, I don't have that card.
Yeah.
Where are you located?
We have offices in Boston, in Connecticut, New York, Texas, Illinois.
I don't want it. Okay, right where.
No, I'm out of Conway, Massachusetts.
All those other charges here, that's all regulated by Unitil, correct?
That's correct.
And do they change because we're using aggregation there, whatever?
No, they do not change. They do not change. The distribution charges are the same for everyone, no matter where the electricity comes from.
The gentleman over here had a question about Unitil and the fact that it's a monopoly, or he thinks it is. And Joan has been with me for a number of years. When I was in the legislature, I filed the Muni Choice Bill just about every year that I was in the legislature. And what that bill was seeking to do was for the city of Fitchburg to become a municipal power company, okay? Just like Sterling, what other towns? You know what I mean? It's a city-owned, I mean, that has a host of other issues as well. But I just want to explain to you the complexity of doing that, all right? Because Unitil, whether you like it or not, we're in a constitutional country, last time I looked anyway, and free enterprise is what directs these things. This is a private company, okay? So if we want to take this company over, we have to go to the Federal Energy Regulatory Commission, FERC. Before we do that, I have to have 2 consecutive votes of the population to do this. And say to FERC, you tell me what is Unitil's infrastructure worth? The pipes, the wires, the poles, what's it worth? Let's just say $50 million. I'm going to have to say to you, we're going to pay for that from your tax dollars in order to get that money to buy the infrastructure from Unitil, to get rid of them, okay? But, so when people say to you, I'm going to run for mayor and I'm going to get rid of Unitil, how many times have we heard that? And that's all they say. I'm going to get rid of Unitil. They never explain how they're going to do that. You know why? Because it's so complicated and in many cases unachievable, because it's going to hurt you as well.
First of all,
Yeah.
Fitchburg wouldn't have the right, you've got other companies, cities that are involved in it.
Yeah.
So Fitchburg is not going to do it unless all the other guys.
There's 4 towns, 1 city and 4 towns. That's the other part of the problem. Unitil's base of operations is the southern New Hampshire coast. That's where most of their ratepayers are, not in Massachusetts. It's just the way the company operates.
Why don't we have anything in Massachusetts?
Well, you got National Grid, you've got NSTAR. But again, you can't simply say to Unitil, we don't like you, we want you to go. You can't do that. I wish it were that simple. It's not. I'd love to be able to say to Unitil, you know, you guys have been putting us out there for years, we're getting rid of you. But that is what I explained to you just now, is how you get rid of them. And it's not easy. And it's not cheap. Again, this is a private company. Because of that, they live under the Constitution of the United States, and private enterprise directs them. You can't simply say, we don't like you, want you out of here, and we'll give you $1.50 everything that you got. No.
Okay, one final question.
Yes.
Please.
Yeah.
All right. So you're going through Unitil. Is Unitil going to add more money to our bill because you're using them?
No.
No?
Whatever they add, whether you like it or not also, folks, I mentioned Department of Public Utilities. Every time they raise rates, it has to go through the Department of Public Utilities.
That's what I'm saying.
Well, any kind of raise.
What I'm saying is,
Yeah.
you're using Unitil's service to bill us.
Yeah.
So is Unitil raising it?
No.
Okay, that
No.
was my question.
Everybody gets the same delivery charges and distribution charges from Unitil, whether you get the electricity from Unitil or anywhere else.
I have one last question.
Yeah.
You couldn't name, excuse me, whether you couldn't or you didn't, but do you have an average of what a household would save on this? I've heard people do it, and their conclusion was $5 to $6 a month. It's a fact. At the current situation.
We have in our mass CEA aggregation.
Your calculator.
Okay, all right?
Yep.
We have households that are saving over $100 a month in that aggregation, okay?
Well, then we all should save $100.
Well, no,
Well,
that's
why
not the way it
I
works.
said the average household,
All right.
and
Yeah,
we're just looking for a figure.
I don't know if there's something else. Again, a lot depends on usage, how much you use. I don't know.
That's fine.
I mean, and I mentioned earlier, you're talking, what's the difference, John? 5 cents right now?
Yeah.
Between what the cost that Unitil's purchasing power from and what this aggregation will do. It's a 5 or 6 cent difference. Okay. I looked into doing this, and Joan can attest to this. When I was in the legislature, I started looking at aggregation 10 years ago. I backed off on it because there wasn't enough of a savings. Back then, it was a cent. I think it was a cent difference. It just wasn't enough. This may not be enough either. And again, it's market driven, so you know, it's an effort to give you a little bit of relief. That's what we're hoping for. And that's it.
That's it.
One quick
Jeff.
question on.
Yeah.
One quick question.
Yes, Jeff.
The Unitil side. So will Unitil continue to read meters, record meter readings?
All the same. Nothing's changed.
Balancing?
None of that'll change.
The supplier doesn't do any meter
Right.
readings?
No.
They don't have to get any consumption use
No.
from us or from our home?
No.
Right.
So, and the reason I ask that is that I am also a solar user. So today, they read my meter, they look at my net meter, and they match the two and do that. I wouldn't want a different company to read what consumption is versus the net metering, because then we could have a problem in what one person says versus the other. But if
Yeah.
Unitil is continuing to do all
Yes.
of that function today, then I'm okay.
Got it.
Okay.
Oh, yes.
This is a 21-month contract, right? Allow the prices held for 21 months,
Yes.
the 17 point.
Yes.
Whatever. If Unitil goes up on their rate, will we be notified?
If they go up on their rate,
Yeah, well, right now they're
22, 21, 22, yeah.
Will Constellation or someone notify us that the rate,
No.
Unitil rates have gone up?
No, you would be notified by Unitil. You would know that. There'd be something in the paper to tell you that Unitil went up.
It would be, Unitil would have to tell you their rate has gone up.
It would be on our bill?
Yeah, you'd probably get it in the bill with in the envelope that the bill comes in. Yeah, yeah. Yes.
I know when Unitil went down, it was cheaper than Constellation in that 21.
Yeah, that could happen. Right?
Yeah.
That could happen. Yeah.
Then you can opt out and go to Unitil.
Right.
Thank you.
Thanks. Yes. Yes.
They're a little higher, but I know that they go down in a certain period.
Yeah.
You're saying rural higher is going to be standing 17 to up, right?
That's right.
Never allow for the lower time, like Unitil does?
That's locked in until December of 2024. In July, Unitil is going to go out to purchase again. They're going to go purchase their bulk. And when they come back, they're going to have a new rate. I'm staying with the aggregation. I live in the city. Come summertime, when Unitil goes out, if their kilowatt hour is lower than aggregation, I'm going back to Unitil. And if you have any questions, feel free to call the mayor's office, and we'll try to help you as best we can.
Yeah.
Okay?
Please, look, we're not just saying that. If there are any doubts, you have any questions, you're confused about something, call my office. If we don't know it, we'll get the answer for you, and we'll certainly get back to you. We'll make John's life miserable.
Thank you all for being here. This is my contact information, my cell phone and my email. If you have any other questions, either call me or email me. And again, thank you for being here.